Hello, welcome back once again to the Flat Pack in the box in Leeds. My name is Ross Briley, and if I sound a little croaky, it's because I've got that bug that's going around. The racing bug? No, it's a cold. It's a horrible cold. But with Newmarket behind us and Ascot in front of us, it means only one thing. We're stuck on the M25. But no, it is, of course, the Flat Pack as the flat season comes to an end. Future Champions Day in the rearview mirror. Champions Day right ahead of us. Before you know it, it'll be the November handicap, and we'll be talking about the King George, but it won't be the Ascot one, it'll be the Kempton one. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and start crying until then. We've still got a lot of flat racing to get through, and luckily I am joined once again by two fine gentlemen to go through last week and hopefully end on a high with 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, I've forgotten how many races there are at Ascot on Saturday, but however many there are, all the winners from every single one of those races. Starting off with Racing Post betting editor and Dijon Mustard impresario, Mr. Keith Melrose.
Imagine if the guy who runs Dijon Mustard dressed in this all the time.
It's advertising. It's free advertising.
It's like the guy who did Lurpak dressing, like getting the body paint out.
Yeah, the guy who invented Lurpak swims the channel every year, just to prove the versatility of his product.
Does he play a trombone?
He does. He plays a mean trombone. Anyway, how are you, Keith Melrose?
I'm well, yeah.
Are you looking forward to getting this cold?
Oh yeah, I'm sat too close to you.
You are.
I'm far too. That's it. I'm finished now. But it's the start of the winter, and we're all going to get colds, aren't we?
Yeah, you've got kids though, right?
I do have kids, yeah.
How many colds do you get during the winter?
Oh, it's just every other week, really.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
mean, they both had their flu jabs last week, which I was delighted about. So that's one thing I won't get.
Yeah.
I'll get everything else.
You'll get everything else. Yeah. Work your way through. Tick it off.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a little register.
Yeah.
It's almost like bird watching for parents of young children.
It is. Yeah. It's your tend to follow, but they are viruses.
Yeah.
You go. Yeah. Go. Oh yeah, I had that one. Matt Gardner. You are also gone. You've gone jumper this week.
Yeah, I'm just saying probably.
It's a flat racing show. You've got the wrong.
Yeah, probably pulled the trigger a bit early on the jumper. To be honest, I'm a bit warm.
Sylvester de Souza.
Yeah.
Gone too early.
You look good though. It's
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's a nice jumper.
Yeah.
Is it real or fake? Is it proper wool?
It's a real jumper.
It's a real jumper.
I think.
The budget stretches to a real jumper, does it? Wow. I thought Dan just edited out. What you don't know is we're actually naked and Dan edits the clothes afterwards. It's quite...
It's green screen for naturists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green screen for naturists. There you go. There's a tagline I never thought I'd hear. Are you ready to get stuck into the penultimate flat pack?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've set it up like it was the last. We need to assure the viewers, don't we?
Yeah.
It's not the last. It's not the last. One more after this.
Yeah, there will be one more where we will be dissecting Ascot, and then I don't know, having a good old party. I think we should get the beers downstairs next week.
Yeah, if we can.
If we can.
If we're allowed.
No, we're not. Definitely not allowed.
Definitely not allowed.
No, off camera.
Yes.
We'll just in between each section, we'll go and do a shot, see how that goes. But thanks for watching throughout the summer and now autumn as well. If you have been with us from the start, if you haven't, feel free to go back and watch from the start and see how we've developed both as broadcasters and as human beings. But in particular, Matt Gardner, just a quick shout out to your expansion as a person, but mainly as a broadcaster. You were terrified at the start.
Yeah.
And now you're just mildly scared.
Yeah, just hiding it all away.
You
yeah.
are.
Going from terrified to mildly scared is basically what becoming an adult is. All the time, the constant dread.
Is it not the other way?
Oh no, you're terrified of stuff as a child, but it's just that constant knowing dread as an adult, isn't it?
Oh, I was the other way. I was completely
Oh, yeah.
fearless as a child, and now I'm like, oh God, I wish I could go back to that. I wish I could go back to that, riding my bike full pelt down a hill and not thinking I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah. Oh, you could back Teton Mill for the Hennessy and everything, couldn't you?
Yeah. So let's start off with one lesson learned, where we learn lessons as we normally do from last week's racing or over the last 7 days in general. A lot of these lessons we've learned over the course of the flat pack were lessons we already knew, but it's nice to learn them again and again until we inevitably keel over and die. Starting off with you, Keith Melrose, what have you learned from the past 7 days?
Trying to read yards, especially yards that do like a bet, is showing off, and you shouldn't bloody do it.
Okay.
Belle Fourchet went off 50s, didn't she, on Saturday?
Who did?
Belle Fourchet.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Went off. Saturday was not the day.
No.
It was usual O'Mara. You know, it was very typical, bring them along slowly. She's in at the weekend, actually, so don't know what to do with that one, but she is on Saturday again. But yeah, she was. It clearly was not the day first time up. I tried to be clever, got what I deserved, so try not to do that.
Okay. I like to think more complimentary that you are simply ahead of your time.
Ahead of my time.
Yeah. You're the first one through the
Nice
door.
spin, isn't it?
It is, it's very nice. But all those horses that are back the first time in handicaps and they end up rated 2 stone higher, but I've won £0 off them.
I knew.
Someone will write a biography of you do one day saying he had all the right ideas, but at the wrong time.
I've backed all the right horses. I'll just let you know it's in the wrong races.
Yeah. You are No, sorry, you can't be the Les Dawson of tipping because Rodders is.
Well, that was Eric Morecambe anyway, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, it was Morecambe. Why is the right notes wrong order? He got Andre Previn by the collar, didn't he?
Oh yeah, of course he did. Yeah, fair enough. Matt Garner, what did you learn from the week?
I was at York on Friday, and after the second race, when Substantial, the Haggis horse, stormed down the near side to win, I heard in the crowd so many "you have to be on the near side to win" that it was.
Did you go around correcting them individually?
Well, socially not acceptable, but I wanted to. Just shout in their face.
I think socially not acceptable is we're doing this in a bunker. We're nerds in a bunker. We are
we are
socially
nerds in a
unacceptable.
bunker.
It's a bit different when you're yelling in someone's face like that.
You should have got the tannoy. You should have gone and said, excuse me, I've got an announcement to make. Have you lost a child? Yeah, I've lost a child. Can I just let everybody know that being on the near side is not necessarily the place to be? Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Stuart's inquiry. Oh no, it's just Matt Garner having a go.
But basically the lesson is don't jump to a conclusion where the evidence doesn't necessarily say what you think it does. If you look at through the card like that, I mean, Substantial was a stone ahead of its mark, which is why he won, doing well from off the pace and all that sort of stuff. But the second horse, we watched it earlier, storming down the middle.
Bolted up. You look at the second, you take the winner out of it, and you think, well,
It's in on Saturday, that horse as well.
Yeah. But first race, they went down the middle. Post Impressionist, the field came over to the near side, but he was on the outside of that field. Streets of Gold, the first two hung over to the far side. The last race, they were all drawn low and came kind of middle-ish again. It's just, you're leading yourself down the garden path if you kind of instantly go to that rather than thinking, oh, actually, maybe not. Just don't kind of back yourself into a corner like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's different when you're at the races, isn't it? Because inevitably you've had a couple of beers probably as well, and you're making very snap judgments based on limited information.
Yeah.
My lesson from the past week is just don't have a bet.
Wow.
Big step.
What made you learn that? Because I want to hear that story.
Well, no, so this is the thing. I'm ill.
Yes.
I'm tired. There's a lot going on, and it's just make sure that you take note of. There's a little bell in the back of your mind goes, I'm not seeing it all right now. Maybe for me when I'm updating the speed figures, if I get past a certain few days where I'm a little bit behind, there should be. I wish I did have a bell that went off. And when the systems are starting to crumble a little bit, therefore you're not going to make the best judgments, and it's absolutely fine. So
yeah, absolutely.
Saturday, I just didn't have a bet.
I'm betting less on the flat now because of the ground belatedly going. It's going all soft. So I'm taking more of a watching brief. Still very interested.
Yeah.
Because next year I think I might make more of this, but I'm still sitting there thinking, am I on as solid ground as I think I am here? Yeah. So yeah, I'm being a little bit more circumspect.
But it's okay. It's absolutely okay. This is the thing. It's absolutely fine to go, you know what? I'm not seeing it. I don't fancy it. Even if, because I'm thinking, I've got 2-year-old races, group races out near the York, at Newmarket. It doesn't matter. Partly you think, I should be getting stuck into this. It's all right. Just don't. You can still watch it. You enjoy it. You can analyse it. You'll learn from it. It'll come back.
It's sort of the same idea about specialising, isn't it? If you're betting on 2-year-olds, don't bet in the stay-in races. It's almost knowing when to play them.
Like this, it's at the weekend. I had more bets at Chepstow than I did on the flat. I know that's a dirty word, but I know that. I know the pattern though. I've been doing that for years, so I knew what was going to go on at Chepstow to a great extent, and I knew what was happening at York. And it's a flat pack. I feel like the guy in the last scene of Poirot who rips off the tash and goes, aha! It was me all along.
Yes.
The guy who wants either day to be a public holiday.
We'll get to your lessons learned in a bit. We're going to move the comment section to the end of our reflections. Because the problem with doing the comment section at the start is you often mention things that we'll then mention in the reflections, and it all goes a bit doolally. Is that the right word? It's the word I've chosen, and it's too late to track back now. So let's look back at the weekend's action from Newmarket and York. Future Champions Day then at Newmarket. Doesn't necessarily mean that those who won the races are the future champions, but there's going to be some good horses come out of it, that's for sure. Can we find them? Can we find them? Juvenile scavenger hunt at Newmarket over the weekend with 3 on Friday and 3 on Saturday to go through. Luckily, we have the Racing Post's 2-year-old handicapper on hand, Matt Gardner, as we discuss the juvenile contest. And of course, we have Dijon Mustard representative Keith Melrose, just to...
You'd replace me with a tub of Dijon Mustard for the next 5-10 minutes because, I'll leave all the juvenile stuff to Matt. I usually have the pretense of watching the 2-year-olds a little bit to keep up with the group races. I'm not even bothered this year.
There'll be some sprinters in there for you.
Oh, there will. Well, that's the thing. I do need to go watch these horses, but
Yeah.
my chasers are back as well, so I've got to do that later.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I like doing the chasers in autumn, and also I like doing the 2-year-olds in spring, I think.
Yeah, fresh.
Fresh. Come back to them. The knowledge is fresh coming into the season.
Best thing, I think, right, make notes now, put them away, come back to them and go, oh yeah. Have a little bit of space in between. Let's go through them in order. Yeah, let's go through them in order. Starting off with the Cornwallis Sprinters, with another win for Johnny Portman. 3 from 3 now in the race, fairly remarkably, with Rumstar, who we, back at Glorious Goodwood, said was this is a really good figure. I think this is a really good race, one of the races to watch. It's turned out some nice horses. Bolt Action was in there and various others down the field as well. I got it. It was a very good figure. It was a solid clip. They finished in a bit of a bunch, but I don't know if I necessarily... Are they going to be... It's a 5 furlong 2-year-old Group 3 at Newmarket. Are they going to be spread out?
You'd like to see them a bit more spread out than they were.
Yeah.
I mean, for starters, Johnny Portman's just going well, full stop.
Yeah.
He's hit loads of form. I ended up rating the race sort of maybe £2 or £3 higher than I would have done because of the time.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I think the fact that they went at a good pace, it was a good time, and they all finished bunched suggests to me that there's maybe not a real good one in there.
Yeah.
They're all kind of much of a muchness. But I mean, Rumstar's basically been progressive throughout the season.
Yeah.
I think he had one kind of slightly lesser run, but otherwise he's improved with every race. And it was a well-run race. It was a fair race. I'm just not sure there's a future kind of real good one for next year.
I mean, yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I mean, like I said, when Johnny Portman won it with Mrs. Danvers, Batage was back in third.
Yep.
And there's often horses that you think, oh yeah, and then it suddenly clicks, where that pure early speed suddenly develops into something that is a little bit more manageable. But bearing in mind, you had the Flying Childers form in there as well, with Principillo and Lady Humana. I mean, they were third and fifth. Crispy Cat's in there as well. So I don't know. I looked at it and I thought all the right form lines are kind of in there.
It all stacks together quite nicely.
Yeah.
I think that Principillo might be the best of them, possibly. Yeah. Like physically, he looks the best of them. He missed the start a little bit, and he did quite a lot of running early. And I think he may be sort of short his bolt a little bit. He'd be the one I'd be keenest on in terms of future progress. But I mean, 107 RPI is kind of bang up there in terms of like a standard Cornwallis.
Yeah.
I'd have been tempted to go a bit lower to start with, but for the time. But average O'Neill, I'd probably say.
Yeah, I think these Squealer in particular, I think will be popping up in some sprint handicaps for you next year.
I will need to watch the Cornwallis because people sort of always think about 5 furlong group races for juveniles, like that's for the really fizzed up early ones. But it does not work like that. It does not work out like that at all, really, does it?
No.
The Flying Childers is more of a precocious race a lot of the time, whereas the Cornwallis, horses are going to develop.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a mixed record, but it has thrown up a few over the last sort of 10 years or so that have done well next year.
It's probably going to get better still as 2-year-olds get faster.
Yeah, fair point, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of breeding in that regard, let's go on to the Oh So Sharp. Another No Nay Never, as the headline would say, with Midnight Mile coming from God knows where, meeting trouble in running, snatched up, switched inside, rattled home. And on the face of it, it was pretty impressive. It hadn't been seen for a while. I got a good figure for that Donny debut win. But the first thing that I thought about it when I watched it back and then did the figure was this is a classic pace collapse.
Yeah.
They seem to go a solid 39, 40 miles an hour from the get-go, and therefore is there a potential that the winner maybe looked a little bit better than she is?
I'm not, maybe, yeah.
What did you rate it?
So 104 RPR, which is not bad for an Oh So Sharp. It's a race that last 10 years, it's only really thrown up Saffron Beach as a horse that's done much after maybe Miss France.
And she took a long time to develop.
Yeah.
The 3-year-old too did Saffron Beach.
But she's a similar type. Well, not a similar type, but she won a novice, came into this, ended a 2-year-old career with 2 wins from 2.
Yeah.
So I guess what you're saying is if there's at least a potential, at least this horse has the potential.
So the fact that the first 2 were once raced novice winners,
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to take a kind of positive-ish view, and particularly with her, she still looks a bit green. She's bred to stay quite well on the dam side, definitely a mile and a quarter. I think the fact that she's doing as much as she's doing at this point, straight up in grade, all that sort of stuff. I don't think many in behind were sort of good enough to sustain that pace, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It kind of found them out, but obviously the first 2 did. She stayed really well. She might be okay. Yeah, she might be all right.
Okay. More than might be okay, I think, was the Fillies Mile with another win for commissioning now, 3 from 3, which is pretty impressive stuff, especially as it's she's taken the races very nicely. Obviously, given connections as well. This is
it's not very like them, is it?
No, it's not. But the impressive improving Fillies Mile winner is
True, yeah.
but the coming back for more repeatedly isn't necessarily. But yeah, I was always fairly comfortable she was going to pick up the way that she did. But friend of the show, Novakai.
Oh. Yeah. Cracking ride that, wasn't it?
It was a cracking
really
ride,
good ride, yeah. So I think she didn't actually need to improve on that Rockfell form. We were so punchy on the Rockfell 112. She's basically done that again. When I first watched it, I watched it on the big screen at York, and I was a bit sort of workman-like.
Yeah.
But actually,
were you telling people anything? Were you going, hey, don't take anything if it comes as this rail? It's not a bias.
Yeah, it was after I finished shouting at people, and then turned around and watched that. Yeah, I thought she was not that impressive, a bit workmanlike. But then when I watched it again, I kind of thought, actually, Novakai, I was sort of thinking maybe for next year, but she's kind of done that a bit earlier now. Yeah. Really good ride. She is probably quite good, Novakai. And crediting her with a good chunk of improvement in pulling clear of the rest, and then obviously being quite positive on commissioning still. My overriding thought from it was she's maybe more an Oaks filly than a Guineas filly now. I was sort of thinking she might be both. Whereas now, the way that she saw it out, I mean, she still messed about a little bit. She's still learning. She sort of hung left and all that sort of thing. But she's maybe more a mile and a quarter, mile and a half horse than a miler early next year.
Yeah,
is probably what I'd say now.
Any thoughts before we move on to Saturday's 2-year races, Keith Melrose?
You crack on, lads. I like the idea though, of you telling everybody there's a real... No, don't ignore real biases. Now let's watch Newmarket.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, you'd have watched the Cornwallis and gone, oh, you don't want to be on that rail, you want to come down the middle. Yeah. So, you could have been there.
Exactly.
Can you set up like a little... can you take your own soapbox? Would they let that in? Matt Gardner's Knavesmire soapbox?
Borrow Willie Carson's if you want.
Yeah. You
used
close with Willie?
No, not as far as No, I've never.
No?
Don't think I've ever been in the same room as him, actually.
Maybe the same person. No, anyway.
Tell you what, the one person I am not is Willie Carson.
I think you're 2 Willie Carsons stacked on top of each other.
In a raincoat.
In a raincoat, yeah, absolutely. Saturday, we had the Zetland, we had the Autumn, and we had the Dewhurst. The Zetland and the Autumn both went to Charlie Appleby. The Autumn, as it tends to all the time. Charlie Appleby now 4 winners from 5 runners in the past 6 years in the Autumn Stakes, and the other one finished second to a horse trained by Saeed Bin Suhoor. So back a Godolphin horse with the Autumn Stakes. Flying Honours made a bit of a meal of it, and very similar to a couple of years ago in the Zetland. The first 3 home were all down the rail when Lone Eagle won a couple of seasons ago. It was very similar to that. So of the 2 Appleby horses, Matt Gardner, any promise? Of course, Caribus won the Autumn last year and went on to take the Guineas.
I mean, Silver not achieved more. He's won 114 RPR. Flying Honours is 108. I'm quite positive on Flying Honours. He kind of showed what he couldn't in the Royal Lodge. Stepping up in trip, obviously, that was a mess about race, whereas this was a little bit more truly run. For a horse that won 2 novices by wide margins, he kind of dossed in front a bit, I thought. And I think over sort of a mile and a half, maybe even further next year, he's going to have quite a bit more to come. I don't think he exerted himself sort of unduly at the weekend. So I'd be interested in him as a potential sort of 12 furlong horse.
What was the O'Brien horse that you thought was the most interesting in his lot that was in the autumn stakes and didn't run?
Didn't run. So there's 2 actually. I remembered afterwards. There's Alexandropolis and let's see. I can't remember. I've forgotten the name now.
Okay. I'll just go back and watch last week.
Yeah. But Alexandropolis was the one that I forgot.
Right.
And then he beat the other one.
Right.
So those 2 basically.
It all just blends into one, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Silver Knot, obviously. I think experience probably won him that race.
Yeah.
Epictetus is a horse that we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And
Cracking
he's yeah.
Every week I hear that name, and every week I think big tatties.
Yeah. You can't not see it now, can you?
No.
I thought he did really well. He'd been off a long time after that novice win, which worked out well. Cracking sort of physically for a future 3-year-old. And
will he go to Donny, do you think?
it wouldn't be very.
Was it a primer? I thought it might have been a primer for Donny.
Maybe it wouldn't be very Gosden, would it?
Well,
no.
not on previous seasons.
Not pretty. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I like him a lot though. Yeah, I think he could be good next year.
He could be very interesting. The other one I thought I'd take out, it was Bateman's Bay from the Zetland. Given that they all did come down the rail,
Yeah.
he was the only one who kind of raced off that, and he carried on for 4th. And I can't remember the name of the owners, but they're whether they're new to the game or whether they're people who've thrown their lot in together. But they bought a lot of horses. Beckett seems to do this occasionally. They had the group who bought a lot of Lope de Vegas fillies and won loads of races.
Yeah.
They've kind of quieted down a little bit, and now suddenly, new owners have bought a lot of 2-year-olds. Obviously, they nearly won the Oh So Sharp. They did well in that. They've thrown their lot into a lot of Beckett horses who've. I can't think of a single one who hasn't won.
Yeah. Beckett's done well with them, hasn't he? I mean, he had all those winners at Salisbury last week as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's another trainer that's going well. Yeah, you're right. He was Bateman's Bay. He was the sort of, when you handicap in that race, he was the potential limiting factor in 4th. You're kind of thinking, do I want to go quite this high on him? But actually, unexposed, won on debut. Like you kind of think, yeah, fair enough. I'm fine to be positive. And coming off that rail, he did probably do all right. Yeah.
And then the Dewhurst, of course, won by Chaldine, who I mentioned on another Racing Post show the other night, that this is a horse I keep getting wrong. Every time he runs, I think, is he that good? Is he that good? And 2 fingers up to me. Well, 4 fingers, he keeps winning. But his races are working out exceptionally. He got beaten on debut. 8 winners have come out of that race. Not individual winners, but there have been winners of 8 races. Winners of 10 races from his novice. Winners of 5 from the Acomb. And then both the horses to come out of the Champagne won at the weekend. 29 quid, 81p profit if you just backed every horse out of those. Every race he's running blind. And he won again under an inspired ride by Frankie Dettori, who cocked a snook, I believe is the technical term.
Well, yeah, mugged them off.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, you see, inspired ride. It's what the Tory's been doing for 30 years, and he still gets away with it. It's a magic thing he does, but.
Yeah, but is it not a bit like, when Cristiano Ronaldo rises up and floats in the air and nods one in, you go, we knew he was going to do that. And it's
well,
like,
but you can't like. You could get up to him and try and bundle him over.
Yeah,
penalty. Whereas you can watch.
You don't want to do that
there.
in this game, mate.
Well, I've heard you get 2-month bans for that.
Yeah.
Those lucrative jobs. But like he was out in front doing his own thing. He left the gap up the rail for them if he wanted it, and eventually they went in the dip and said, "Have you not taken this rail yet, lads? I'll just go in there, shall I?" And he took the mick.
Yeah.
And it was a great ride. But I don't think the horse particularly liked getting. He put the stick down pretty quickly.
I mean, I guess like I said, I keep watching him at the Chaldean and thinking, he probably got away with that a little bit, but he keeps winning.
Like the boy in the Guinness adverts, the old guy that was from Against the Pint. He just keeps getting away with it.
Exactly that. That's exactly what I thought. How did you know?
I don't know. It's just one of these things. Must be on the scene. Must be some telepathy going on now.
But I kind of speed-wise, I thought it was better than the last few years. It's somewhere in between, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's not great. It's not bad.
I've rated it kind of bottom end of the last 10 years. The range you'd be sort of 118.
I'll just say, just beautiful broadcasting etiquette by the way there. Muting his mic as he coughed. What a man. The cold's already got to him.
That's the pro, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm being an arse to swallow my water. That's how I ended up having to do that.
That was mustard, that was.
Yeah. Yeah, 118 to 125 would be the last 10 years kind of range, and he's at the bottom end of that. So more your Bellados and your War Commands than your Air Force Blue and your 2 down hot type level.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that he's not going to be like a legit Guineas horse next year. Like that makes him the tied second best 2-year-old with Noble Style so far.
I was going to say, Royal Scotsman's given him a right old boost, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
Has he not?
well, do we know him much more about Noble Style than we did before? We knew he was really good. I'm not sure it makes a difference, really, does it?
Well, but they all keep. Well, we know he keeps.
Yeah, but like, I suppose, I'm picking.
If he'd have bolted up in the gym crack and everything behind it had come out and done nothing for the form, would that not have?
Maybe, yeah, that's different though to them boosting it, if you know what I mean. As in,
Yeah, fair.
Cold Case is fine. He's won a couple of lesser races. Royal Scotsman has improved there for sure. But I'm not like we thought Noble Star was really good anyway, so it hasn't really changed that. I don't
All right,
think.
fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
You get on your soapbox, mate. I'll go back to the Aiken bar.
The other one just to mention is Nostrum, who I thought shaped almost as well as the winner until the furlong pole.
Yeah.
And that was a very quick turnaround for a stout horse who doesn't operate like that normally.
Yeah.
He looks like he'll be a real good 3-year-old. He's got all the kind of physical attributes, the pedigree, everything to think next year is going to be his time.
Still looked very green when he won his race of time before as well. So there's something to be learned there, isn't there?
Would you pick a 2-year-old at the weekend? You're going to follow it off a cliff.
Clear point.
Always clear point.
God's sake, man.
Didn't even run.
Didn't even run. I know.
He's catfishing you.
Yeah. Is he a real horse?
Is he a real horse? Absolutely.
Epictetus. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, next year, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say the same thing. All right, fair enough. Epictetus it is. That's the 2-year-olds. Let's have a look at York. 2 days on the Knavesmire then at York, marked by some good performances and one 30-year-old flat handicap off the Racing Post, annoying everybody in the stands. But welcome back, Keith Melrose, to the show.
Hello, yes. York. Farewell to York.
Farewell to York. Farewell, my friend. Where's your, on the York love-hate scale, where have you been? Where does the weekend leave you?
Everybody
Just like that?
Oh yeah, it's like windscreen wipers, your love-hate scale at York. Everybody's like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Aren't they? You're like that.
Yeah, I suppose,
you're like
even
that.
I'm.
Yeah.
You're like that. Yeah, Dan's
Yeah,
not
there you
good.
go.
Yeah, everybody loves and hates York. That's fine. You got to that's the natural state of York.
It is.
Love and hate it in line with your own bets, though, don't you?
Of course you do. I loved it in me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like you've been married 40, 50 years, you're like, I love her to bits, but
The way she breathes.
yeah. I know she's going to finish my sentences.
So what I liked, it was very York. I was watching the 2 big sprint handicaps. It was very York how on the Friday they all wanted to race sort of far side, and it was those in the centre of the track that sort of won it. And then on Saturday they all wanted to sort of come more near, and then it was the centre of the track that's just York. And then
York.
the 3 non-runners in the 6 furlong race on Saturday were in stalls 1, 3 and 5.
Yeah.
And the first and second or first and third were 2 and 4.
Yeah. I mean, we said about the sprint handicap that last year was a real draw race with volatile analyst winning, who didn't run this year, and this year was another big draw race with Strike Red, who again, the horse is starting to bring a few things into the mix. We were saying about winners winning races.
Yeah, it's just come back. He must be an autumn horse, him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to say he's autumn, I think he's. I had a look at his. Is it something like 8 from 23 or something? He just wins. He wins a lot of races without anyone really thinking, oh, he's a good horse.
It's pretty punchy for a sprinter as well, that, isn't it? As a striker, yeah.
Yeah,
He's-
it's fairly
he's-
remarkable.
Yeah.
He's a bit funny as well, isn't he? Because he keeps missing the break a lot of the time. And
Yeah.
I think he just seems to have come alive in the last few weeks, and he was the same last year. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. I think next year I'll be looking out for him in the autumn again.
Dakota Gold was the other one who was back in fourth, and they were the two lowest drawn, you would have.
Lucky Man was drawn about 6 as well, wasn't he? He ran his usual York race. He's a cracking horse this year. He doesn't win as much as you maybe think he should, but he's got a great record in these races.
So what do we do then next year about these York sprint handicaps? Because I still think I prefer to be middle to far side. Was there a case of because the other thing that happens with sprints and big field handicaps in general, to be fair, is that classic, all the pace is on this side, and then they go off way too quick.
Yep. Can happen at York, can't it?
Yeah, and that seemed to happen with Kim and Grace.
That is just, it definitely happened with him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went way too hard.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, it's just this classic thing. You're looking for, are we just constantly looking for we're looking for the simple thing, and what happens is that sometimes you can go too fast, sometimes you go too slow. Sometimes they all bunch up, sometimes they spread out. It's
it's like anything. Trying to predict what will happen in the run before a race is just hideously difficult.
Oh, well, let's just go home then.
Yeah, you're a running punter.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's.
But even then, your eyes drawn to the pace. Even when you're watching it run, you think,
I think it's the best. It's the best guess you've got before a race is where is the pace, what's going to track that pace.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to go wrong, but that is still your best bet, surely.
Or do you just sack it off entirely, as the Tom Siegel approach? Just sack it off entirely, look at the race, find the horse you like.
I mean, there's a bit of that.
Yeah.
Hard, yeah.
So you get, there wasn't any pace on that side. Well, what are you going to do about it?
I think as betting wise, maybe sometimes that is a thing. But I didn't really like Strike Red much. But yeah, there was only one on the near side. Like Bergerac was making that pace, wasn't he? And then, but they all came on that far side. It was just a weird race. And Dusky Lord got pulled out, didn't he? And Varian said on Friday, "I don't like being on the wing in sprints."
Yeah.
So that horse has been pulled out.
Well, I mean, it's a shame because he would have won off the track.
He'd have been exactly if he fancied it.
Yeah.
Because he is a funny old sock, isn't he? That horse.
Yeah.
But he might have won off the track if he'd. I wanted to see something else. Like you earlier, I wanted to see something else that you couldn't broadcast. So yeah,
A bit like that Simpsons episode, that Mr. Black. We're just going to put. He's a funny old sock. Did he say sock?
he did say sock. Don't subtitles. See if the subtitles get that wrong.
Yeah,
That's the subtitles. You have to get binned.
definitely said.
But anyway, that was
Anything else from York? Because there were quite a few other things. Alpha Captain.
Yeah, I wanted to mention Neandra quickly in the post-impressionist race.
Yeah.
She's lightly raced overall, and she absolutely bombed through that race, and then just didn't quite get home on. She was up in trip and on softer ground than she'd run on before.
She'd come out of a one or two racing league races, I think, hasn't she?
Yeah,
as well,
she
like
had.
decent
Yeah.
ones?
So basically, she's won on the all-weather. Basically, and she's eligible for lesser races. That was a 0 to 95, I think.
I mean, there are so many bad fillies races over the winter on the all-weather.
Yeah, even a back-end turf handicap or keep her on the go for the all-weather. Like, she's going to be really interesting. If she can't win off 84 or 85 or whatever it is, then yeah, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, be interesting to see how that race works out because you've got the Gadget. The Gadget Man's one of those. I love horses like the Gadget Man who come off the bridle after 2 furlongs and just keep going and going and going. Especially as an in-running punter, you think, I know this horse. He's gonna go off 10 to 1, drift to 50s, come into 6 to 4, go back out to 10s. It's gonna be all over the shop. But you know he's just gonna keep grinding.
I think that winner might get
And he beat
underestimated.
Priano as well, who bolted up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah. But I think post-impressionist might get underestimated a little bit, as in it gets bundled into the back-end handicap, soft ground, everything ran badly type thing. Whereas, his form from earlier in the season was really good, and then he just sort of went off the rails a bit. And Haydock,
a bit slow, isn't he? That's why
he
he was getting beaten in better races.
He stepped up in trip, hasn't he? Which has helped. Galloping tracks, I think he's just back in form. We seem to just lose it kind of midsummer.
Yeah. We all did, mate.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yeah, next year he could be an interesting horse again.
What rating did you give to Gray's Monument? Speaking of Rafe Beckett winning races.
Oh yeah, quite big. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the time was really good. That horse looked a bit of a monkey, and then twice he's bolted up in good times by wide margins, and each time I've gone, is that good? But actually, he's starting to kind of look pretty good now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was much of a racing behind, but he's rapid, isn't he? So yeah.
Very good speed figure. The race has turned up some good horse in the past. I remember back in Dubai Honor in this in 2020, who got stuck down the rail and went on to win group races. So it could well be one of those contests. So there's a few to follow from York and also Newmarket. Any other business? We'll just quickly mention the old Roly Poly Cup.
Yeah, Appleby won 2 in a race you'd think was a Bin Sarur race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 3-year-old race. Bin Sarur's a 4-year-old.
That's true.
4-year-old plus.
Bin Sarur doesn't run any 3-year-olds. He runs them at 2 and then gives them a year off.
Yeah.
Nothing to do when you're 3, is there?
He's a patient man.
But we're only going to mention this one quickly because before we said race is going to throw up loads of staying winners next year. Afterwards, we're thinking that race is going to throw up loads of staying winners next year.
Yeah.
So, and you think potentially group horses?
Well, I mean, I think there's definitely going to be there's one or two that are going to progress to that level. But you're right, it's, Farhan, Candleford, Siskany, I think last year came out of it and won Heritage Handicaps or...
Those sort of horses, basically.
Yeah, but it looked good. It looked good to me. I thought the third, Haunted Dream, the Dunlop horse, ran a really
Very well,
nice
didn't he?
race.
Yeah, agree.
And he will be popping up in the hot list.
Oh, will he?
Yeah. And when's the hot list? Well, it's in a second because we've moved the comment section. I thought that would be a beautiful segue, but it's not.
That wasn't a double bluff?
No.
Oh, sorry if I let the daylight in on magic there.
Yeah, this is all... It's not me, it's... it's Old Man Withers. He really owns the Haunted Theme Park. So let's have a look back at your comments. Did you back any winners? Have you got any lessons and thoughts from what we've just talked about over the past weekend? Let's find out. Part of the fun of the Flat Pack is the comment section, which is something you don't normally say for YouTube videos, but nice little community building down there, which just feels a bit post-apocalyptic, doesn't it? Oh yeah, have you been down into the bunker? Lovely community. They're eating beans from 20 years ago and talking about horse racing. Remember horse racing? Thanks for your comments from last week, some good ones. Top of the pops this week, though, is Mark Smith, not Mark E. Smith from The Fall. Keith, I'm not doing it.
I was going to insist that you did the comment in Marky Smith's voice.
I'm not doing it. No one can do. Plus, if I do it in Mark Smith's voice, if I do it badly, I'll get fired. If I do it well, he'll probably ring me up. I'll be in The Fall for a week.
He's dead, though.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, Mark Smith isn't, though. He says, I learnt this week that if a horse continues to win, then follow it. That's why he likes Eternal Pearl in the Fillies and Mares at Champions Day. I agree entirely, Mark. She's on a roll. And this weekend, he said he fancied Pogo, Chaldine, and Evaluation the Cesarewitch. So 2 from 3 there, Mark Smith. Well done. Beautiful stuff there. Chris Graham says, good show. He enjoyed it. You lot would stop a train, however. Saki and Adagio, both headline mentions, and didn't make it to the track. And he says, is Matt trying to grow a tash? Eden JS says, he works in the industry. I assume he means the racing industry. I don't know. Maybe he's making spoons. He says, I've colleagues who've never heard of the Flat Pack. Most entertaining racing show around and should be a household name for anyone who likes racing or betting. Eden, tell everyone. Tell everyone you know.
I've got colleagues that have never heard of the Flat Pack.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What are you doing today? Recording the Flat Pack. What's that? The flagship show for the company you work for. It's not the flagship show in any way, shape or form. Anthony Cross says, great show. Nice to see Mickey Quinn rejuvenated.
It took me ages to get that.
Really?
Ages.
You do look like
I first read it and then went, oh, it means me.
it was you.
Yeah.
Is that?
I'm a Newcastle fan.
Is it related to the Tash comment though as well? Because didn't Mickey Quinn when he was playing have the big Mauser?
Yeah. It's just the shape of your head as well, I think. And when you smile,
Big old head.
when you smile, your eyes disappear, which is a bit Mickey Quinn.
You make a better team captain for the North though.
Yeah.
I won't mind that gig here.
Yeah, I bet it would, yeah. Proper gravy, that.
Yeah. Get in touch with which forgotten 90s footballers that me and Keith look like as well. Tom Hercombe says, lesson learned is to start backing his art selection to finish second. Again, you don't have to back winners to make a profit. And David Watchman says, top show chaps, who you watched the Arc again, thought Torquay Tasso ran a blinder, and he's following a horse called Novus, who was supposed to run last week but was pulled out. So that's a third chance for him. And Devo says, don't desperately resort to pedigree study when you don't have a strong form opinion in a race. Yeah, that's it. Don't pull out tools you don't have if you can't find an angle.
Yeah, pedigrees sometimes are relevant and sometimes are not, and separates a good punter from a great punter is being on the right side of that line more often.
This week's hot list then, delivered to you with a cold, ironically, giving you 3 races to follow that have been throwing up winners and might well have an impact over the next 7 days or so. Starting off with Haunted Dream at Southwell. We briefly mentioned the old Rowley Cup at some point during the show. The eye catcher in third was Haunted Dream. That came out of a good racing league race, which has thrown up winners, including Tequila, Mockingbird and Dark Island, and of course Haunted Dream going on to run that big race in that big Heritage Handicap. And there's a couple who could turn up this week. Wootton Sun goes to Nottingham, and Tidal Storm and Chiana have also got interesting entries, the latter of which potentially over hurdles at Sedgefield. Then let's have a look at Al Hussen's race at Newmarket. Not the one that it won last time out, but the previous one, of course. That form has been franked by the winner, winning last time out. We've also had Tamarama come out of that race as well. It was a strong figure, and it looks like a decent little contest. Washra was sent off favourite for that and was heavily beaten, but goes to Chelmsford and could be interesting. And Rainbow Colours might go to Brighton as well. Has been running poorly, but Mark Johnson sending that one all the way down to the south coast. And finally, Destiny Spirit over at Yarmouth. It looked a fairly modest sprint that day, but winners have come out of it, and including an impressive Stuart Williams winner the other day. And Destiny Spirit goes again this week, potentially with Kanawa, who also won for Mick Shannon at Wolverhampton. Those two could meet at Haydock in a decent nursery later on in the week, and that form looks strong. So there's 3 races for you from the hot list. Hopefully they'll make you feel a lot better than I do right now if they go in and provide you with some profit. Ascot coming up at the weekend then. We are the Champions Day preview panel. There's no time for losers, and we're going to keep on fighting until the end of this section, that's for sure. If we were members of Queen, I vote for John Deacon. I want to be John Deacon. I want to play on all the big songs, take my millions, and disappear. Keith Melrose, you'd be Brian May.
But I thought I want to be Roger Taylor.
You want to be Roger Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a good life.
I think, yeah, fair enough. I was going to put Matt Gardner as Roger Taylor.
He probably is you're a better Roger Taylor than me.
None of us are Freddie. We just can't. You can't be Freddie. So Champions Day coming up, 6 races, of course, to get through. Stayers, sprinters, fillies and mares, milers.
Are we allowed to say that it's just a tiny bit underwhelming?
Hang on, I'll just check.
I couldn't say on any other show. But like I'm looking at, I mean, and to be fair, I was saying that this morning.
This year or in general?
No, this year I think. This particular one, because although let's be fair, it's a big ask to put on 5 Group 1s and like get the big champions in each one. Yes, we've got Baid, obviously we've got the big one, and Spiral maybe is the best miler around who isn't Baid, who's also running and who just happens to be running in a different race on the card. Maybe I'm asking too much of it. But I looked at a lot of the races this year and thought 7 out of 10. You know, I'm not saying it's rubbish.
Yeah.
But I'm sincerely saying Champions Day should be 9 out of 10 and this is a 7.
Yeah, you're watching Catterick instead, is that what you're saying?
We'll get to that later, but yes, I will be watching Catterick instead, yes.
Okay, should we run Champions Day at Catterick? Get in touch.
Brilliant.
That would be excellent.
That would be very
Especially if we take the open ditch to continue our conversation from last week. That open ditch at the top of the straight at Catterick. That'd be Baid's match, mate.
There you go. Will Baid meet his match in Adayar or Baybridge potentially? Let's go through it again in order. Starting off with the stayers, where Trushan is going for a hat trick in the race. And again, I don't know. I feel like we talked about the staying races. Again, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the time of the season where you've talked about these horses so much.
At the end of your life, you realise you spent 7 years talking about stayers.
Yeah.
And not one of them rated above 125.
Well, Stradivarius has retired. Kyprios obviously bolted up in France when no one was watching. And
Trushan, I mean, most of the discussions about what ground they'll run them on, and people are saying, oh, he's like Altior now. But no, what he is to Alan King, because he's Alan King's big horse on the flat, he's like a favourite T-shirt that you never wear, you keep for best.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, it's too small.
I love the fact that you've got a best T-shirt. Other people might have a shirt or a suit or
We've all
some shoes.
got
You've got a best T-shirt.
We've all got a best T-shirt, haven't we?
What, when you go out for a really nice dinner, you're like, I'm going to get the good T-shirt. And you're like, please, Keith, wear a shirt. No, it's a T-shirt.
Well,
So Trushan, it's this time of year. He won the Old Rolly Cup. He's won this twice. He's an autumn horse. But he's genuinely up against some potential progressive horses. And given that Coltrane is an Ascot horse who never finished out the frame, who's improving at the right time.
I can't believe the price of him.
Yeah.
7-1.
He looks an obvious angle, doesn't he?
It does. I think the fact that they finished a bit of a heap in the Doncaster Cup maybe meant he's not got the rating to suggest he's as close to Trushan as he should be. But he should be.
Yeah.
I can't see Trushan being 9-4 and him being 7-1.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think lack of Kyprios is as important to Trushan as the ground.
Yeah.
That's true.
If you know what
Do
I mean.
do you think that's all smokescreen? They just decide when they.
I'm getting I know you said about the whole Altior thing. I get that. I'm getting a little bit tired about the whole ground thing with Trushan. And I had flipped through his record, and I don't want to knock him too much, but he never met like a peak Stradivarius. But Stradivarius was kind of past his best by the time that Trushan was sort of up and running, and he got beat on good ground at Goodwood by Kyprios, and So that's a bit too firm for him, and you just think,
But I did think Coltrane was very interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
he's the bet as far as I am concerned. Looking at that race.
Yeah, and then we've got a complete contrast in the shape of the Champion Sprint, of course, which is much more your bag. Never mind Catrick. We've got some top class sprinters here. Or I say top class. Well, you have.
Well, we've got one that's been laid out for it.
Yeah.
And one that's sort of placed in Group 1's level who has been really wound up properly for the race in Rohan. I looked at the race. What? Sorry.
6 furlongs. Ascot.
It's his sort of thing, isn't it? And he obviously.
So we need a 7 furlong horse with course form.
Well, that's what happens in the handicaps, isn't it? Or in
Or this race, Glen Shield 2 years ago, Creative Force last year.
well, Creative Force is the perfect 6 furlong Ascot.
I'm not letting this go, mate. You're not going to talk me out of this angle.
where's your giant drum beat?
Who is it? Because the 5-2 favourite fits your 3D perfectly. Who's the angle?
The 5-1 second favourite.
Who is just. But no, for Ascot with form over further, you're not thinking of Rohan first. You're thinking of Creative Force first. Surely you got.
Yeah, yes, you are. But to throw other things in, the Sprint Cup is normally the perfect springboard for this.
Apart from the Ben Goff.
Apart from the Ben Goff, and who was third in the Sprint Cup and won the Ben Goff.
Well, yes, it was Rohan.
So he's ticking boxes left, right, and centre, and he's 4 years old.
Yeah, it's mad that, isn't it?
28. This is I think it's going to be his 28th run. He's 4 wins from 5 at the track. His only defeat was in this race last year, but he was in no sort of form coming into it. He fell out the back, and he just hated every second of it. This year, he's coming into it off the back of not 2 career bests necessarily, but 3rd in a Group 1 and almost a joint career best last time out.
And he's been at it since Royal Ascot is the only thing. You know, he was wound up for the Wokingham, and he's been asked every time since. Every run since has been a proper run for him.
Yeah, but last year had been on the go since the all weather.
That's true. The only other thought I had, I assume Gareth isn't running, because if he is, he won't be 33s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 33 to 1 now. He's got Ascot form. He has got a bit of 7 furlong form. I can't remember if it's much, but he's an improved horse this year.
Yeah.
He's just a much better horse, and a better horse than when he ran in the Platinum Jubilee. I just thought there's horses down there that they deserve to be 33s, and he was one that I thought they should be 12s.
On a similar theme, I think the most interesting horse, somewhat true to form, probably isn't going to run, is Kinross. He fits your theme, and he's just similar. He's just an improved horse. His last
that point. Yeah.
There's no need for him to run, really. They've kind of proven the point. But
Yeah,
the
but
40. I thought the 40 was his race, Matt. But he says, "Well, look at how improved he is this year."
he's just a better horse on his last 3 runs. He's improved sort of £6. I think they're saying they're going to go Breeders' Cup instead of this, which is a shame. But only other thought I had was maybe Perfect Power back at Ascot, but I think you made the point that he's just not that good.
None of his. Yeah, he looked really good in the Commonwealth
Yeah.
Cup, but I think we can say that the Commonwealth Cup was a bit of a drain this year.
yeah, the 3-year-old sprinters.
They've just not been much this year, have they?
No, they've cancelled the making it a classic after this year. You have to use it.
Yeah, I have to go. I've got to go with my tail between my legs with that one, haven't I? Really, unfortunately.
Yeah, the fillies and mares is a potentially interesting little race. I mean, a couple of things. I mean, Emily Upjohn, again, this is another thing. It's 3-year-old sprinters, 3-year-old fillies.
They've left enough of it. She's the sort of horse that I thought they're going to put her in at 9-4, and I'm going to be desperate to get after her.
Yeah.
She's
But
in
we
at
just don't
7-2.
know. It's because on the one hand, she's won a Sandown Novice and a Musadora.
Yeah.
She's been beaten in an Oaks, which was looked. I mean, Nashua. It's okay, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
okay.
The thing is, though, in the Oaks, she looked better than Nashua, or at least as good as Nashua.
Yeah.
No.
And that level would be enough to win this. But it's obviously the issues that she's had since and all that sort of stuff. But like you say, 7-2 is just big enough. Like if she was shorter than that, you'd be no. But
If she
it's
was
just
trained by
big enough.
anybody else, if she turns up, you've just got to give again, we keep learning this lesson repeatedly. Gosden ain't sending him to the track 3/4 cooked. He's not. He's not. He doesn't waste those opportunities. He's not that kind of
Especially at
trainer.
this time of the season, he's done it. I'm sure he's done it in this race before, hasn't he?
Journey, I think.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, she was safe for it, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So it's
She won it 1 year and then was safe at the second, I think.
It's the way he operates. He targets. He very much target this end of season program. They pick a race and go that one.
Just for a second there, I thought, has John Gosden changed his pronoun? I thought, oh no,
No.
There's 2 of
it's a
them.
joint operation.
Yeah. One that I thought might be interesting at pricing that fillies and mares was Thunder Kiss. She's got some good pieces of form, but the last sort of 3 or 4 runs have ridden her a bit more negatively, where she's quite good going from the front, and she's just the sort of horse that if a few disappoint, she'll run a race. And
Mile and a half from the front row Ascot though.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But
Come on, Gardner.
when you got that
22-year-olds.
many, when you got that many question marks about the rest of them, you start looking around for
It
something.
does have the shape of a race where something at 40s is going to run into the frame, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
I agree with our email. I think Eternal Pearl just keeps doing it.
Yeah, it's an angle you like, isn't it? The ones that keep on winning. So yeah, she's in at 4-1. I thought the one its price was too big was Sila Rosa.
So Sila Rosa.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Sila Rosa. So you were saying that usually these haggis horses that come in with big reps and they always get overestimated if anything, and that's what I thought had happened in the Royal U when she ran it Longchamp the other week, but she dotted up in that race.
In Spiral is the next one to take a look up in the QE2, of course. Persuasive and Minding have both won this in the past few years as talented fillies, and she certainly is a talented filly. I mean, apart from Newmarket, where I don't know, we still don't quite know what happened there.
It was a quick turnaround, wasn't it? Yeah, that's the only thing I'd say.
Very, very un-Gosden, or quite like Gosden, depending on which side of the fence we've decided he's on at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just keeps doing it. She keeps on doing it, and she's not going to face many rivals either, is she? She's going to turn up, and it's going to be a lumpy double, please, in Spiral and Baaeed.
People are going to get hung up about the ground potentially because she's not run much on soft ground, but it's a soft ground pedigree more or less.
Yeah.
The Dam was second in a Guineas and a Coronation.
Yeah.
On softer ground. The half sister won on heavy. The Dam's good half sibling was a soft ground horse too. It's actually a soft ground pedigree.
I just think Shively Park, because it's pivotal in my head. There's like connections. Or every horse they ever own goes on soft ground, which doesn't make sense. It's just one of those little.
She's actually got a round mile at Ascot pedigree because a lot of our there's somebody who was second in the Valiant Stakes, I think, and obviously these Coronation Stakes is a round mile too. So, and she's won the Coronation Stakes herself. So Ascot's not an issue. Ground's not going to be an issue on pedigree. She might be. If you're going to do lumpy doubles, if that's your type of bet, then I wouldn't be putting you off.
No, fair enough. And finally, Baaeed. Oh, what more could you say? That's it. That's the end of the show. No, I mean, again, it's.
Why is Adia running against Baaeed?
What do you mean? Why? What else is he going to do?
It should have been
Should have run in the yard.
It's a mile 4 horse that you keep trying to win a mile 2 Group 1 with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he is. Is he not? He's not quite good enough to do. He's not quite a strong enough stayer to win one, and he's not quite.
I don't know if there's any strong. I mean, it's
somewhere.
the way he actually looked at his stride figures from Donny when he won there. He's a proper mile 4 strider. It's quite a long, slow stride he's got. He's a mile 4 horse. The thing, because he's that good. After they won the King George, I thought this is the best horse I've had so far. Let's try and get that. It was the old Ballydoyle thing, Coolmore thing. We've got a mile 4 Group 1. We need to get that mile 2 Group 1. Otherwise, he's going to end up siring jumpers. And they're probably thinking the same with ADR, and that's why you're running him in this race rather than the Arc. You should have run in the Arc.
Okay. So is there? I mean, I said that you might have met his match by you. And you
I thought you meant Bay Bridge.
Friend of the show.
Well, friend of half the show. Yeah, I've fallen out with him.
Have you?
Yeah, he had his chance.
Oh right, okay. When did he have his chance?
I forget. He made it. He looked funny in the eclipse.
I mean, everyone looked funny in the eclipse, right?
I suppose they did a bit, but the head went up.
They were all
a
in
bit.
a barrel, rolling down a hill.
The head went up a bit and stuff. I didn't like that.
Okay.
I'd give him I would be giving him maybe not against Baaeed, but another go on softer ground.
Yeah. Look, it's the stout kind of angle. He'll win as an 8-year-old. He's a very patient trainer. 9-year-old, maybe a 10-year-old. He's taking his time.
That Windsor race.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking the Windsor race is made for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Champion Stakes against Baaeed. I'm going to let him pass.
Regal Reality's putting his hoof around his shoulder, going, "It's all right, mate. We've got time. We've got time." And then finally, the Balmoral, which might actually be is this the only punting race of the card?
I mean, there's always funny results turn up somewhere with the card being where it is in the calendar. But what other races are you going to get Mum's Tipple up against Migration? What a marvellous race!
Yeah, with maybe Bashkarova in there as well, so he's entered.
I love the variety of this race.
Yeah. We're going to test that theory again. You were saying about the Ascot form at the track, form over further. But 6 of the 8 have won over further, and of the 2 that hadn't, one had won twice over a mile, and the other one was Aldari, who won last year, but is bolted up in a listed race. He's 120 horse pretty much. So you either have to be a genuine group class horse next season, or you fit you fit the angles, guys. And there's not many who fit the angles. Not many fit the absolute guaranteed Ascot winner angle.
We're going to have to come up with a name for this, aren't we?
You are going
This
to
angle.
think of
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah,
We've got all winter.
Yeah, true.
we have got all winter. And Migration was I kept going down and I thought, it's him, isn't it?
You're,
Loves off a break.
He does. I mean, I didn't think of him as a horse that runs over a mile much, but he ran well over a mile last time, didn't he, at Newbury? But he's a mile 2 horse in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sent off favourite for the not the Lincoln, but there's a race at Salisbury which Johan won. He's all right.
Your horse, the Quinn, is it Quinn horse that ran at York?
Yeah, they're at York. Empire, State of Mind.
Empire State of Mind. He's got 4 over 9 at Hamilton on
Perfect.
soft ground.
Perfect.
He's a winner without a penalty in essence because he was 4 lengths clear of anything else at
Is he
York.
what at Ascot?
Yeah, so that's my concern. He absolutely bombed through that York race. And when I saw him
Traveller.
I saw him in this at 33s or whatever it was. I'm not sure Ascot's going to be his track.
Yeah.
Not sure that's got. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
I realised I thought you were talking him up there, but you were talking him down.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah. Has he run at Ascot?
No.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
No.
All right, so I didn't know that was it. Oh, okay, right.
There's a cross in that little box. But he just bumped into one at York. Like you say, miles clear of the rest.
He fits everything else so well.
He does.
Fits everything else
Yep.
so well.
Yep.
And he's 33s.
Yeah.
He is. He is indeed.
Going to be a good loser.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly the sort of horse I back that.
Yeah, he'll get swallowed up in the final furlong.
Yeah.
Finish 7th.
Yep.
Absolutely. Elsewhere at the week this week, we've got a couple of nice maidens at Nottingham, which are worth watching on Wednesday. Elder, Century Dream, Adion, Moonstar, Horseplay have come out of those maidens and novices over the past few years.
Have you been to Nottingham?
Yeah.
Most of the stands have got all the big maiden winners on the stands. Remember seeing that? Like Dream Ahead was one, and Golden Horn and all them.
Yeah.
They actually, they've got a thing dedicated to all their maiden winners.
Future Champions Day is Wednesday at Nottingham.
Yeah, absolutely is. And we've got 2 Wednesday staples. We've got the flat season Wednesday staple, which is Nottingham, and the jump season Wednesday staple, which is Wetherby.
Yeah.
Real crossover season at the moment.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm sure there'll be some Jed O'Keefe novice hurdlers
Oh yeah.
coming up over the winter. And you just want to quickly mention you're off up the A1 Scotch Corner.
I'm off up to the barracks.
Yeah.
To Catterick. 2 races at Catterick that I wish I'd seen more of this year. I get to the end of my first proper season doing sprinters, and I wish I'd seen more races for good horses over proper fast 5 furlongs.
Yeah.
We've got the Catterick Dash, which has got Copper Knight in there. Wouldn't it be marvellous if Copper Knight had his race last week that was literally named after him, and it was just a sighter for the Catterick Dash?
That'd be good.
That'd be utterly
1-2
marvellous.
with Count Dorsey.
With Count Dorsey. Well, I don't know who'd be the one, because Count Dorsey doesn't like winning.
No, except in this race.
Except in this race. He has won this race. He's won. All his wins are back ends, but he's not won for about 3 years.
Yeah.
But all his wins are like this time of year. So that's going to be a really interesting race. Catterick Dash, real lickety split, 5 furlongs in soft ground, and also a veteran sprint.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have enough veterans races. Every time I'm looking at sprints this year, it's the 3-year-olds you're interested in, sometimes these 4-year-olds. But veterans races have been such a massive hit over jumps, and they're actually great punting races over jumps. Whereas in the flat, we don't have enough of them. We've got a 6 furlong veterans race at Catterick, and the thing with the jumps ones now, they were so successful as 0 to 150s, they're now all the way down to 0 to 120s. Why can't we have the same on the flat? I'd love some, next year, I'd love some veteran sprint handicaps.
Lovely. Veteran sprint handicaps and valuable claimers.
Yes, valuable. players.
Combine the two.
We could do both. Although people, would you get crossover?
Yeah, you don't really want it. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They tried them, the claiming handicaps and stuff, but I think the culture's just not quite there for it.
Well, obviously,
yeah.
well, Substantial obviously came out of that Goodwood one. They've kind of narrowed it down to one or two now.
Yeah, they want a Ponty as well, I think, still.
I think they possibly do.
So, yeah.
So there you go. That's our plan to completely revolutionise the flat season. Peter Saville, if you're watching, give us a shout. We'll sort it out. In a sentence, Keith, what are you taking out this week? What are you doing? What are you excited about?
What I'm excited about the Catterick Dash.
The Catterick Dash it is. Mickey Quinn?
Champions Day in general. I know it's, like you said earlier, it's not quite what you'd hope for, but it is still a really good card. Loads of good racing. So yeah, looking forward to that.
If you're backing one horse.
General sense. I can't not back Empire State of Mind now in that handicap. I've got to.
Okay. And Rohan finally becomes a man this weekend in the champion sprint for me at the 39,000th time of asking as a 4-year-old. Like, subscribe, pay into those analytics, please, and keep this coming. This is the penultimate one. If you have enjoyed it, we might set up a little survey next week to see what you have enjoyed, what you haven't enjoyed whether you want more, whether you want less, whether you want to come on down to Leeds and join us in the box. You can play darts in the background, who knows. But thanks for watching, as ever. We'll be back next week for one more crack of the whip, and have a lovely, good, fun, enjoyable, hopefully profitable week. Goodbye.